Hey, what is up, guys? And welcome back to another Magic the Gathering online league. We're back with Eldrazi Tron on the draw for game one, and oh, this might be a bit of a mirror match, eh? I did find Glaring Flesh Rakers with one of my hits off the top. Another one, of course, being K Command. Another one being Karn. So we have some decent hits here. We'll pass. Next turn we'll have 5 mana. They'll have Tron on 3. That much is clear. The question is, what can they do with that mana, right? So I'll play Flesh Raker, and we'll pass 2, 3, 4. Next turn 5. I mean, them having Tron on 3 is probably going to be better than me having some Eldrazi mana on 3. And we'll hold. There's the mine. What you got thereafter is the question. I mean, if you have Karn, that's going to be pretty backbreaking. Tezzeret. I mean, Ballista can ping down the Flesh Rake. What else? K Command would be decent. Sire. Even a Devour is a blocker is not bad here. We don't exactly know what version of Tron this is. This could be Green Tron, could be more traditional Colorless Tron, and could be my Tezzeret Tron list. So there are options. Also, it could be Dice Factory. Not outside the realm possibility. Dice Factory Tron. I guess by that metric, you know, there are other options as well. Flesh Raker, so probably Colorless. Flesh Raker into what? Karn. Okay, so that is a problem. Flesh Raker triggers. I mean, at this point, we will hold. So we need to deal with Karn. Yep. Chooses Extinguisher Battleship for next turn. That's a bit interesting, because it's also going to clear your Flesh Rakers, so I'm not entirely sure that's wise. Alright, we'll hold. We have a card of our own. The only problem that I foresee here... We go Temple. We now have 4. We'll have 1 mana left over after Flesh Raker. Okay. The thing is, they have the Battleship. And they could just pop Karn. I have 1 mana left over. EE doesn't work. Yeah, I don't have anything that will actually help us here. Even Ballista. So we cast Karn. Okay. Trigger Flesh Rake. Triggers. And trigger. Again, we can minus for 1. Pithy Needle doesn't cut it. Not to mention we have that in main on the side right now. EE doesn't cut it. So we'll just plus Karn on Mind Stone. Go to combat. Attack Karn. Attack Karn. I mean, if they're going to play the Battleship, just blocking the Flesh Raker is reasonable to protect the Karn. At least keeping it on board. But if you give me the spawn, that means you need a land for Battleship, which could be relevant. They trade. That's interesting to me, though. So it likely means they have a land in hand. So they probably have land Battleship. Alright. Strikers will trade, and then we'll pass in full. Alright, let's see what Battleship does. Again, they'll need another land. They draw a card. I can only assume they have a land. Okay, they do. Now the question is, what does Battleship target? I can only imagine they target card instead of my land, which is what I want, admittedly. I don't want my land. If I can find a K command, I'll be in a decent position. Karn for liquid metal coating, plays liquid metal coating. And they'll liquid metal coating the Ugin's lab, most likely. Draw. Target lab. Yep. Sire 7 death. Okay, Sire is good. Play a temple. We can play Sire next turn, granted there are no more disruptions here. Do wish I had the K command. Coding target. I will return Ugin the hand. Karn plus. Yep, I think honestly probably going for a lap, or temple may have been right, but that's me. Paying cost for... Alright, so that should more or less lock me out here if they untap the liquid metal coating. So it is a mirror match. It's a true mirror match. Oh, but they searched though. Why did they not untap the liquid metal? They can just lock me out. Ballista. I mean, you can play a decent sized ballista, X equals 4. Sure. But you could have locked me out of the game. Interesting. So a bit of a misplay here from opponent, I'd argue. They have 1 mana remaining. You could tap Ballista, yeah, charge Battleship. It'll be up 4 instead of 5. It's not there yet, admittedly. So we now have the ability to rally back. Map's not going to cut it right now. Instead, we'll play the Waste. We'll cast the Sire 7 deaths. Now, there is one slight issue, of course, that of which being Karn can -4 Cityscape Leveler if they're on my exact 1-for-1 list, which so far it does seem like they are. So that, at that point, should probably close things out. Though I guess liquid coating's offline at that point. It's a give and take. Again, I think what they should have done, they should have untapped liquid metal coating on upkeep, target temple. Excuse me. I would have been left with 4 Eldrazi mana. I guess to be fair, they don't know. I mean, that's actually a funny sentence that I was about to exit, of they don't know that I'm playing my list. Which is just a funny concept. They don't know that I'm playing my list. Well, Ugin. Why tuck the Ugin? I guess you can make Ballista bigger. Sure. 2, 4, 8. So you can grow it by 3 up to 7, then up to 8. Yeah, I guess. I mean, the alternative is you minus Karn. You find Cityscape Leveler. You leveler my Sire. Pay the ward. You then have an additional 4 left over to pump the Ballista to 5. You then pump Ballista to 6 with Tezzeret. You tap Seascape Leveler for Extinguisher Battleship. Battleship and Ballista can attack for 16, and Ballista can then ping me down for the final 3. I think that's the right move, though opponents going a completely different line. Could just be familiarity with the deck. This list is relatively new, and I'd argue maybe a little harder to navigate. That those 11 damage that they can present, they can pump it up to 12 with Tezzeret, and then they can tap Ballista for Battleship, and then attack with Battleship. It does have Flying Trample, so I am forced to block here, because otherwise I'm at 9, and then at risk of losing. So my only solution here is to block. We'll go up to 26. If I block the Ballista, they'll just ping me to 15, then we'll die. So we, again, are forced to block the Extinguisher Battleship. So up to 26. Down to 19. They have 11, 12 that they can deal me. So I'm alive for another turn for what it's worth. Now, do I think that's going to mean much? Probably not, at least not with what I currently have available to me. So again, now they have 12. So I'm not dead yet. Keywords. Draw. Tezzeret. What can Tezzeret do? Tezzeret can grab Pithing Needle. That's not going to do much. Yep, we'll just concede. Because, yeah, Pithing Needle, Vexing Bauble, Soul Guide Lantern, Chalice? Nope. Nope. Ballista, also no. Yep, we'll concede. We will concede. So this is Eldrazi Tron versus Eldrazi Tron. Loss for game 1. Let's move to game 2. So we don't need to worry about TKS here because they're on Fleshrake. So we also don't need Soul Guide Lantern. We technically don't need Vexing Bauble. You don't need Gemstone Caverns. All His Dust can come out. So this is kind of the awkward part about this matchup because we don't need a lot of things. Like, you could argue, I guess, Dismember for the Glaring Fleshrake. There's some argument for it, sure, right? So, like, Chalice out, EE out, which is already out for the Pithing Needle, because Pithing Needle in. We want the Leveler and Extinguisher. And I guess we keep the Soul Guide Lantern Vexing Bauble in for the hell of it. Either that or we bring in the Dismember. Let's bring in the Dismember. It might have some utility. I guess alternatively we could also bring Disruptor Flute, but we already have Pith Needle main, so we want maybe Karn to be able to pull the flute. Yeah, that's true. Alright, let's run it back like this. I think in most other matchups other than combo, the hand that we kept would have been fine. It was the fact that we're against the mirror match where it was not as functional by comparison if we had instead tried to mulligan for Tron. But we had a ton of hits off top, K-Command, Karn, etc., right? So, hard to say for certain if I would have even mulliganed, regardless of that knowledge. Excuse me. Alright, so we have 8 hits off the top. Though actually, I guess we're on the play, so it really is only 4. 8 if we are looking at turn 4 Tron, so we'll keep regardless, since we do have Devourer to go digging. And opponent will begin with 7. I'll reveal my Devourer. Do you reveal yours? I was about to say playing 4 of, so it should be pretty consistent. Okay, so there's Tezzeret. That allows us to go digging. Yeah, so Tezzeret might be correct. We'll go Tezzeret. Play mine. Pass. And Devourer. Let's see what they exile. Might give us some idea. Not really. Draw. There's Tezzeret. I'm going to hold the K command. It might become relevant, but I might also just cycle it. Mine, Power Plant. I'll pause on end step. I'm gonna cycle. I would like to have another crack at the 4. Done. Sire, whiff, draw, power plant. Good stuff. So at this point, I will Ugin Eye of the Storms. Trigger, because this starts a 2-turn clock. So Ugin will plus, we'll draw, we'll pass. Next turn we have our battleship, so we're primed there. Blaze Tower. Alright, what you got? You need something to stop Ugin. If you don't stop Ugin, we'll win. And if you don't destroy one of my lands, we have a battleship destroy one of your lands. Did you exile any Tron lands? You did not. So we'll end up destroying a mine. Yeah, I think we're in a good position. What say you, opponent? Can you disrupt Ugin fast enough? Because this is game 2, so they should have brought in Pithy Needle from the side over one of the many cards that can be cut. Flesh Raker's fine. We'll blow that up. Karn, okay. So we can Pithy Needle Karn next turn. Karn. For what? Like I said, he should have brought in Pithy Needle. So I'd be surprised to see it. Ballista. Ballista's fine. You can ramp. Alright, so we'll draw. Tez. Alright, so we have access to 10, 13. So we can battleship Tez Pithy Needle. Yes. So let's start with battleship. Actually, I guess we should start with Tez, because Tez will get a counter for it. So we'll start with Tezzeret. Yes. Ugin, trigger nothing, always yield. Ugin, 0. Battleship. Ugin, trigger. Battleship ETB. Tezzeret, trigger. Battleship, trigger. Target mine. Always yield. Always yield. And opponent scoops it up. Alright, we'll take the win. Let's move on to game 3. So we'll want our gemstone back. At this point, I suppose we can just cut the Vexing Bauble. Well, I guess Vexing Bauble does have some utility with Ugin for all intent and purpose. So maybe we do cut the Dismember, because it does have less utility by comparison. Yeah. That seems reasonable. Let's run it back like this. On the draw for game 3. 8 hits off the top. Flesh Raker on 2, Tezzeret on 2 to dig. Yeah, we can make this work. We'll pass in full. Mulligan's down to 5. Makes more confident this hand then. Uggin's Lab. Imprint. Imprint Ugin. Pass, draw. We'll whiff on the Tron land. We'll play map regardless. We'll pass. And pass. Temple. Okay, Command X2 is available to them now. Probably more of a reason to get Fleshraker on board in case of a Karn. Draw. There's mine, though. Alright. Well, we're going to go mine. And then I will pass. UK Command X2. Yep, looks like K Command X2. Makes sense. Ramp Scry Draw. We'll pass in full. You can't really do much that I'd be worried about right now. So we have access to 6 Eldrazi, but 5 non-Eldrazi. Do you have a Karn is the question. Power plant. Alright. And Karn. In response, Expedition Map. For Tower. I'll pass in full. So we do have Tezzeret, which can grab Pithy Needle for Karn. Sack, Metal Coating. Target mine. Yep, it was right to do so then, otherwise I would have had priority. So, Tower. So, at this point, we can do one of two things. We can play our Karn, and we can then just kind of hold out because their Liquid Metal Coating is offline. They only have access to 2, 3, 4 non-Eldrazi mana. Which means that coating should be pretty null and void. The other option, of course, is that we go Tezzeret minus for Needle, and then name Karn. That does also brick our own Karn, though, which is not the end of the world. I think I'm going to go for Karn. And Karn the Great Creator. So Liquid Metal Coating offline. Now I can minus Karn. Ooh, I actually kind of like this idea. I'm going to minus Karn. Yes. And I'm going to grab Disruptor Flute. Because we kind of get the best of both worlds now. We've turned off Liquid Metal Coating. And now I'm going to grab Flute. Where's Flute? Perfect. We're going to go to their upkeep. And I'm going to Flute naming Karn. So it kind of breaks both our Karn the Great Creators, which is fine by me, because I have advantage. So our Karns are bricked, their Liquid Metal Coating is bricked. I have access to Extinguisher Battleship next turn, Ugin, Fleshraker, Tezzeret. I have a lot to work with. If you hear scratching in the background, my turtles decided they want to escape. And Bone scoops it up. We'll take the win. Alright, solid match against my own list, which I knew was going to be a thing. I got first place in one challenge, second place in another one. I knew that this list was going to propagate because MTGO likes to chase its own tail, which is a bit concerning in one hand. It's great because I mean, it demonstrates it validates all the time and effort I've put into making this list. At the same time, it's a bit concerning because as the list sees more popularity, more people playing it, it also subsequently means that we're going to start seeing an uptick in non-basic land destruction, similar to what we saw post the One Ring ban. And so because of that, if we do see that increase in non-basic land destruction and the deck just can't keep up with it in games 2 and 3, we then will need to pivot once again to a different deck, whether that be Eldrazi Ramp or Brood Scale, in which case, if Eldrazi ramps then sees an increase in play rate accordingly, then we'll see an uptick in non-conditional land destruction, which then means we pivot over to, let's say, Brood Scale. And then from there, the cycle only continues. You know, Tron and Ramp exit the minds of the populace. Land Hate exits sideboards. Consign continues to stay consistent. Consign is just a hyper-flexible card. And then we see Tron winning again. Then the non-basic Land Hate, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So it's an interesting thing, interesting problem to have and to inadvertently help create. With that being said, though, we'll be back for match 2. Alright, we're back for match 2. On the draw for game 1. We'll keep this. This hand is pretty good, plus we have double Flash Rake. I mean, that's part of the reason why it's good, admittedly. Flash Rake trigger. What we find? Tezzeret Cruel Captain is interesting to me. So, we tuck, we Mind Stone, we land. Only thing is that if we do that, and we play the Flash Rake and kind of do nothing, right? We then have to hope that Flash Rake resolves. We could have an alternative option, though. Could map. 1, 2, 3, 4, map, trigger, 5. You want to be able to crack immediately, though. Oh. I'm thinking either going map or going for Tezzeret. I think we'll go for map. But this Arid Mesa does scare me a bit. It makes me think that maybe it's Ruby Storm. And that's where maybe Tezzeret would be better. So I guess even Chalice would be better. And we'll know by the following turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we'll go Chalice actually. And if worse comes to worse, we can ramp with it. So yeah, we'll do that. So we're going to tuck the Devourer, cast the Mind Stone, and then pass. So if we come to the conclusion that this is Ruby Storm, then we can just Chalice for 2. Meticulous Archives, not Ruby Storm. Spell Snare, so looking like Control. Okay. So the Chalice actually is still good here, because we can basically bait them out of using a counterspell, otherwise Chalice will stick on board and they can't play counterspells. Sticks. Okay. I mean, Chalice on 2 is very good in the current meta. I mean, hits Frog if this is a Frog deck, hits Goryo's if the Goryo's deck, hits Counterspell if this is a Control deck. They could have a Teferi, but then that leaves the window open for Flesh Raker, and if we can draw into a land, then we can start to build up some pressure. Interesting. Flooded Strand. Fetch. So I'm thinking it's Teferi, bounce. Yep, Teferi, bounce Chalice. Bounce Mind Stone. Ooh, that's cheeky. I like that. I like that opponent. We'll play the Flesh Raker. And then we'll pass. Because now I can't play the Mind Stone with the Chalice on board. They've put me into an awkward position as now I've lost mana as a result. But we're still on curve, so I'm not all too upset by that. Tune. Teferi Plus. Did you miss a land drop? You did not. Fetch. White Source Wrath. Good Wrath for 3. Teferi. Teferi bounce Flush Ring. Draw a card. Yep. Alright. Draw. K command. Good K command for 1. There are some benefits to doing so, but also some risks, specifically Force Negation. So we'll just play the Flesh Raker again. Though we would have very much liked to see a land in K Command's place, because right now we are falling behind curve now. The Fairy Plus. 7 in hand. So Jeskai Control. I imagine with Riddler Ephem. Solitude, Subtlety in the works. We'll have to see if that's the case, though. So far I've had good success into control. The start by them is pretty good. Riddler? Big Tef. Okay, Big Tef is not something I normally see. So they must not be playing Riddler if I had to guess. Tux the Fleshraker. Draw. So we found a land, finally. So we can do a couple things now. So we could consider Tezzeret into Pithy Needle named Big Tef. Again, the main consideration at this point, though, is force, because if they have a force, then we're in a bit more trouble, because they force the Tef, we're kind of left hanging. So in that case, we will cast the Fleshraker. Play it safer, and that way we can threaten the Teferi. We'll pass. Yeah, the chain to fairies bouncing the Fleshrakers has been pretty good because it stopped me from ramping. It's more or less just time locked me every turn. Definitely feels like it's going to result in a loss for this game, at least. If I had to wager a guess. But you never know. I mean, we're still protected from Chalice, protected from Counterspell, which is nice. I forget if we're going to draw into Fleshraker or not. Might be one card keeper. Opponent's tinkin'. What we tinkin' about, opponent? Could have removal. It's consideration. Wrath X equals 90 double white. Is this another 3 fairy? Are you going to rebounce my Fleshraker again? That would be obnoxious. No, looks like maybe something else. Prismatic? No, I think they meant to tap additional white for the Wrath. So they're going to Wrath X equals 1 and clear the Fleshraker Chalice. Yep. Makes sense. Yeah, they just had all the answers so far. Damn. Yeah, it's looking more and more like it's going to be in their favor. Scouting Tarn fetch. Headquarters tapped. 5 in hand. Counterspell's now online. And they have an excess of mana. Slow Guide Lantern. So, what are we doing here? That's the question, right? What are we doing? So we have access to 4. Gonna 3. Play Mindstone. Tezzeret? I mean, I feel like the Mindstone is going to counter. They know I'm mana light. We could attempt a K command, but we can't do that on their turn as permission because of Teferi. We could Tezzeret, try and minus for Pithy Needle named Big Tef. I'm just doubtful of that resolving. I'm doubtful of anything we attempt to resolve resolving. Let me be straight. I will attempt Tezzeret. Does Tezzeret resolve? Doubtful. Press X to doubt. Show me a counterspell. You have to have like 3 of them that have been sitting there because of the Chalice. It resolves. That's shocking. L minus. For Pithy Needle. Pithy Needle. Does Pithy Needle resolve? Named Teferi. Hero of Dominaria. Trigger Tezzeret. And we'll pass. That is surprising. I will not lie. Casting Subtlety? No, that would make sense. Why cast Subtlety Snapcaster? Oh, interesting. For 2? Okay, so that's actually good to see, because this allows us some good info where Grafdigger's Cage is going to be better in this version by comparison. Prismatic Ending as well? Brutal. So, okay, that makes a bit more sense, because why counter something when you can just, well, counter it in a different way? Yeah, this match seems more or less wrapped in their favor. I don't foresee a way out, but you never know. You play until there are no other options. Consult the star charts kicked for 7/7 deep, and you get 2. That is pretty freaking good. Yeah, I'm glad to see Consult seeing play. A lot of people were down on it when compared to Memory Deluge, but it being instant speed and able to dig deeper for 4 seems pretty relevant. We'll draw. Tower. Attempt to resolve Mindstone. Counterspell. Spell Snare. Attempt to resolve... Ooh. Attempt to resolve Soul Guide Lantern. See, I don't really want to go for a K-Command X1 because K-Command or X1 just means that they're going to bounce the token, though I guess we can then blank a draw. We'll get rid of the consult of the star charts, I think. That way you can't snap it back. And we'll pass, not liking these odds. 4. Another consult kicked. Yeah, that is pretty good. They are turning through their deck pretty quickly, though. The Fairy Plus. Attack for 2, down to 18. The first combat damage done this entire game. And we're 8 turns in. 2, 3, 4. Another consult. Witch Enchanter. Targets. I'll crack a draw card. Power Plant. Okay. We'll pass in full. Teferi Bounce picks up the Snapcast. Interesting. Alright. Teferi, trigger. Supreme Verdict to Yard. Okay. 4, 5, 6. I mean, they would just be able to Supreme Verdict if I K-Command. If I Karn, then what is the question? I guess we minus Karn. Bridge won't do too much, though. Oh, between Prismatic Ending, Wrath. Yeah, Bridge would feel pretty bad. Ew. Alright, let's fire off the K command. Ramp, Scry Draw. I imagine this gets countered. They have 7 cards in hand. There's no way it doesn't. Counterspell. Yep, we pass in full. Not much can be done about that. Our best draw at the top here is definitely going to be Devourer so we can get rid of Big Tef. Because Big Tef is probably the biggest problem that we currently have. The Fairy Plus draws a card. Attack for 2, down to 16. You know, they have Snapcast in hand. Tef Plus, so now they can cast things without, while ignoring timing restrictions. 5 for what? Solitude. So they're just trying to get bodies on board to try and tighten up the clock. I feel like they should have held that, though. Why play it now? Eldrazi Temple. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm a bit confused why play that now. So, Devourer, eat Big Tef. Always yield. We'll pass in full at this point. They encounter the body, unless they have Consign Main. Consign to Memory Main. A lot of control decks have been running a one-of, so that does make sense. So we need another land off top to try and get rid of the Devourer. Or try and get rid of Big Tef. Now we are starting to have more problems than just Big Tef on board now. Big Tef definitely being the biggest problem, though. Our life total is definitely dwindling. Draw. Land? Okay, we did find the land. So we can return Devour to hand. Now again, it's not going to resolve because... Oh, well, it's definitely not going to resolve because they're going to Snapcast Consign back. Yeah. No matter what I play, there's definitely not resolving. Solitude? But why not Snapcast Consign Replicate? They still have the Snapcast, right? I'm not crazy for thinking they don't. Weird. The Fairy Plus. So that's 8. Down to 9. Big Tef. Okay, maybe that's why. Draw. Untap and draw. Ugin. Doubtful this resolves, but we'll fire it off. Ugin. Attempt to exile Solitude. Reason being is because the Snapcast will kill us, but Snapcast is going to kill us because they're going to play Snapcast Consign or Counterspell. I guess Consign. Yeah. So, let's see the Consign. Snapcast Consign. Yep, we'll pass in full. Then they'll replicate. Okay. I mean, yeah, they played it really tight. I shouldn't expect any less from Oarsman. Oarsman. They know what they're doing. So I should not expect anything less. Alright, that is lethal, and that is game 1. Very, very tight gameplay. So, made sense. When we saw them bounce our Mind Stone, I kind of knew it was going to be a bit rough. Vaccine Bobble's still relevant, Soul Guide's still relevant, Pithy Needle's still relevant, Cut the Gemstone. Chalice is relevant on the play. Dismember not as much. Let me just confirm my sideboard guide real quick for control. Needle. And then normally we bring in Leveler Extinguisher because we could bring it in because we're cutting Explosive Soul Guide. But here you want the Soul Guide as well as Grafdigger, so this works. I will run it back. Yeah, Snapcaster, definitely a problem. I'd say I'm probably going to play worse into this version of Control than the Riddler version. The Riddler version has been performing really well. I mean, Salad also made top 8 2 times, I want to say. But on the play for game 2. I mean, Mind Stone, we have Karn on turn 2, we have K Command 2 on 2, Flash Raker on 2, we have options. And they also keep their opening 7. Mind Stone. Do we Pithy Needle now? Probably not, right? And we could name Small Tef. Right now, I mean, we only have to consider 4. So yeah, we'll Pithy Needle name Teferi Time Raveler. Time Raveler, and we'll pass. Alright, so we do need the top deck some action, though. Again, we have plenty of hits. Tezzeret, Karn, Flash Raker, K Command. Draw. We whiff there, but we do end up with partial Tron. We'll pass. We'll hold on the off chance that we need to crack the stone. An opponent concedes. I wonder if they kept a risky hand and did not draw the lands they needed. That'd be my one consideration to why they would concede there so early. I'll bring in the gemstone. What do we want to cut, though? We want to cut the chalice, because chalice is always bad on the draw. For the most part. For the most part. Sometimes it's fine, but mainly when we need it for a true lock piece, and not just to control the early turns. So they brought in, if they didn't have a set of consigns in main, they brought in the remainder. It's Jeskai, so it's unlikely that we see Harbinger, unlikely that we see Charma or Blood Moon or non-basic land hate. They're probably clear there. I'm trying to think of what else they'd bring in, though. I guess they could bring in Dampening Sphere. That is a genuine consideration. Though I'm not sure if they would. I don't think it's commonly played in the sideboard of control. Clarion Conqueror is also a consideration, but I also don't see that all too often either. Yeah, don't know. Don't know. But we'll certainly take the win. Yeah. This is, I was talking to people, and people have given me both sides of whether or not I should use Da Vinci or not. But, like, these moments are where Da Vinci might be worth it. Cutting out the dead air while our opponent's figuring out what they're doing. I'll be on the play, of course. 8 hits off the top, a Devourer we will keep. I will reveal. I will pass. Devour trigger for... We'll go Temple. Power Plant, Map, and pass. Let's see if they counter it. If they do, I'm actually okay with that. Prismatic Ending would be fine as well, because that'd be their turn. Snapcaster to Yard, we'll pass. Still have 8 hits off the top for Tron on 3. So, still a possibility. Just Temple was definitely the worthwhile keep there. Fetch Flooded Strand. For Steam Vent Shock. For what? Dam Sphere. Okay, so they did have Dam Sphere. Good to know. Draw. Another E-Temp. So in that case, I will just play the Mind Stone. And then pass. No reason to crack the map right now. We'll pass. Witch Blessed. Bolt for Teferi. There's Big Tef. What do you bounce? The Mind Stone? It makes sense to me, yep. Trying to deny me of mana. Hoping that I'm light. In that case, I will cast Flash Raker. We'll pass. The unfortunate thing is I don't have many ways of getting rid of Damp Sphere. We can always Karn plus then K command it, but that's a lot of hoops to jump through. So it's an option, just not necessarily a good one. We'll pass. Solitude. Excelling Teferi Hero. Fine with that. Plus Tef. And draw. Land. Teferi. Teferi's interesting. So what I can do here, and I think might be the best play, is crack map. We'll go for mine. Actually, 2, 4, 5. Maybe we actually go temple on the off chance that we do get from underneath this Damp Sphere. And then Mind Stone. Pass. They can sign it, or Spell Snare. Spell Snare. I was hoping for something a bit more substantial, consign or counterspell, but c'est la vie. Teferi plus, land, 3 in hand. At this point, we're just trying to play as many cards as possible. Ugin's Lab, no Imprint, cast Tezzeret. Does Tezzeret resolve? 2. Counterspell. I will pass in full. And pass in full. 4, 5. Because I was hoping that we would find... Ooh, that's a desperation play unless they have another Teferi in hand. Big Tef? Big Tef. Plus, draw a card. And draw. Mind Stone. 1, 2, 3. So I can play the Mind Stone, then play the Flesh Raker, but I can't play the Flesh Raker, then play the Mind Stone. So we'll play the Mind Stone, see if it resolves. Two, Counterspell. Counterspell. We can K command, and this will be for 0 though, which is less than ideal, but I would like to advance my mana base. So I'm looking for a land here. Soul Guide Lantern's a whiff, we'll pass. Though it does allow us to play Flesh Rake into Soul Guide to advance our mana base that way. So, give and take. But this Teferi will be an issue because now they're gaining card advantage. Yeah, we need our Devour on board is what we need. And exiling that Teferi. Because if it ults, it's the game. This Damp Sphere definitely putting a dampening effect on my mood right now. Land tap, 3 in hand. We've been burning through counter spells. Teferi untap. Draw. Map. Map is interesting. I will attempt to resolve Flesh Rake. Map. Okay. Well, this is promising. I will pass in full. We need 1 land for Devourer, though. Teferi plus, draws a card, 5 in hand. And Wrath for... Supreme Verdict. Yeah, same idea, unfortunately. And this is 8, right? Yes. Pass. Interesting. Yeah, if we could just somehow burn them of enough... you're gonna hit map? That's a problem with So, because then I need to draw 2 lands back to back. Yep, there's the prismatic. Oofda. Untap and draw. In that case, I will attempt... What do we have in exile? We have Pithy Needle in exile, funny enough. Attempt to resolve Karn. I will minus Karn. Yes. I will grab Pithy Needle. And then I will pass because I already played a card, so I can't play another. Again, if that Sire was a land, you'd be in a better position. It's not, so I can't. Surveil. Two in hand will pass. It'll be 4 in hand though, because the Fairy plus. Land, 3 in hand. The Fairy, trigger. Draw, land, perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could attempt the Walking Ballista. I will first attempt... Actually... 1, 2... Yes, I'm going to first attempt a Soul Guide Lantern. Because I want to play around Snapcast. Because we can cast the Needle next for 2 and still have 3 mana up, which would allow me to minus Karn for Flute, which would allow us to then play through a counterspell as well. So I think this is correct to play first. And hopefully this gives us just enough time to exile the Teferi. We just need to buy a little time. I have to only imagine the reason why they're holding this is because they have the Snapcaster. Can only imagine that's the only reason. So they play the Snapcaster now and counter the Soul Guide. At least then they get the Snap on board for the Karn. Sure. Consign to memory. Alright. I will attempt to resolve Pithy Needle. Let's see the Snapcaster that you were working with. Three. Snapcast. Trigger. I suppose there's also a world where I could have Karn minus Tormod's Crypt rather than the Flute. I mean, Tormod's Crypt would have taken the remainder of my 3 mana. Give and take, I suppose. It would have been fine. Yeah, I guess Tormod's Crypt would have been another choice rather than Flute. Both are relevant. Target's Counterspell. You'll cast Counterspell for 4. Flashback. I guess the one benefit is that I could have played everything on this turn versus now with Flute, I can't. Yes. Because we go to upkeep, and now we kind of have to hope that they don't have another counter spell in hand. But they would have they wouldn't have Snapcaster if they did, I feel. We're going to go Flute. We're going to pass to upkeep. Flute. No! So in that case, it was. I should have gone for Tormod's Crypt. Didn't consider Snare. Oh, man. So if I had taken a slightly different direction, if I had gone Tormod's Crypt, which I knew was the other line, to be fair, I kind of initiated that after I went with the line, that would have allowed me to resolve the Needle naming to Fairy. I did not account for the Spell Snare. We were inadvertently playing around it this entire time between Soul Guide Lantern and Pithy Needle. The Disruptor Flute, on the other hand, played directly into it. Damn. Because now they're going to minus to Fairy. Yeah, now they're going to minus to Fairy. That's an ult. I mean, we're not completely dead. Okay, we might still have some outs. We're going to pass in full. They're going to draw. They're going to minus Tef. But unless they have a way to draw right now, we don't lose on the spot. Yep. We draw. Land. So we play land. No imprint. We don't want to devour, or devour just gets exiled with nothing else backing it up. Sire, though, introduces an interesting prospect. That of which being, they need to remove it unless they counter it here. Which means they take 7. And that means that because of that, if we draw into Walking Ballista, we can win. If we draw into Walking Ballista, we can win. So pay the 7. We're not out yet. We'll take the 2. And if we draw into another Sire, equally, that's good. Draw. Power plant. So we'll play the power plant. They're going to have to exile the Devourer now. Unless they counter it, of course. Pass. If we just can continuously supply pressure and dodge their counter magic, ooh. Consult the star charts? They would kick it, though. I guess another Snapcaster. Snapcaster can sign. Yeah. That resolves. Body resolves. That's surprising. We'll pass. The Fairy exiles Devourer, because they don't have much in the way of choices. Second main, pass, and let's see another threat. Cage is not it. I will play the Cage, just because that way they can't Snapcaster. We'll pass. They now exile land. We're still at enough to where we can win, though, if we draw into Walking Ballista. We draw. Vexing Bauble. We'll play the Vexing Bauble. we do have a consideration where we can just crack the bauble now and try and draw into something. So we'll crack the bauble now, draw a card. Tower, we'll play the land, we'll pass. Keeping lands up is also a viable option here, because if they can't just draw more cards, then we should have enough to present more threats. 2, 4, 7, yeah, we need 7. If they draw more cards, though, our window becomes more narrow. Bounce. Exile. So now we only have 6. That's not enough to win, unfortunately. We draw. Mine. We'll play the mine. We'll play the cage. We'll pass. Consult the star charts. Thankfully, it's not drawing cards. We'll pass. Would love for them to hit that scouting tarn. If they can crack that scouting tarn, that'd be perfect. That, though, does remove our window of opportunity. This now means that even if they crack the scouting tarn, we'd need them to crack the scouting tarn and the arid mesa. Draw. 3, 5, we're now short. Dampening Sphere will guarantee that we never do ramp any further. So Sire's just stuck in hand. We're not out, but we're not doing great either. Here comes Solitude. So Solitude's going to be the beater of choice here. We'll pass. Now, Walking Ballista can destroy Solitude and give us some time to potentially clock them. They are at a time deficit, but we at this point can probably no longer present lethal. This now gets us below 4, which now means that it's unlikely that we'll be able to... Actually, we can't Walking Ballista at all. Another tune, knocks us down to 2. So it's unlikely that we are going to be able to recover at all. We can map, doesn't do anything. They exile my next land. We can't really recover from this point, so we'll concede. Alright, GG's. That's so unbelievable. If I would have just played that a little tighter. We were playing around the Snapcaster with the Soul Guide. I should have considered the fact that they wanted to counter the Soul Guide, and from there grab Tormod's Crypt. By grabbing Tormod's Crypt, it would have then allowed us to then say, cool, do you have another counter spell? If not, we're going to crypt you if you attempt a Snapcaster. We'd then be able to play the Pithy Needle for 3, and in response to Snapcaster, you would then be able to clear the grave, naming Teferi, and stabilizing the game state. But because I did not take that specific line, we ended up losing. So I would say that I definitely thought ahead, but not so ahead into considering every single option. Spell Snare, for whatever reason, did not cross my radar when we considered the Flute line instead of the Tormod's Crypt line. Something to think about. I think it was a very in-depth chain that maybe many people would not have considered as in-depthly. And unfortunately, I did not go one step further. But at the end of the day, that's why we practice. We make mistakes, we lose, we learn, and adapt. So we'll walk away still with a pretty good match. That was a fun one. That was a fun one. So with that being said, we'll be back for match 3. All right, we're back for match number 3 on the draw for game 1. This one's interesting. I mean, we have 4 mana on turn 2. We have 2 Devours to dig, so K-Command, Karn, Tezzeret, Glaring Fleshraker, all good hits, so we'll keep this. We'll talk a Devourer. The Devourers, when I go for more than one, I normally say, you know, if we're going for more than one, it's to make the hand functional. And if we just want to make the hand better, we go for one instead. The hand is functional as is. We don't technically need to dig too deep. Yeah, I mean, we have enough hits where I think I'm confident with one. We'll pass. Because we do find a K command that would allow us to go for 7 on turn 3. Maybe I should have dug for the K command in retrospect. But also putting all our eggs in one basket. So hard to say. Yeah, maybe I should have went for the K command just to really get there. Still thinking about that last game. If only I had just went one step further going for the Tormod's Crypt. Would have been such a different end result. Because all they would have had is a Spell Snare in hand and nothing else. Would have been beautiful. Because what did they draw after that? I don't think they really drew anything of value for a while. It was kind of that back and forth with us playing threats, them exiling them, etc. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Alright, opponent kept 6. Passed. Trigger. Map. Map seems reasonable here, but also tower. So, okay, here's the numbers game, right? If we go map, then we have 7 hits off top for the second Tron land. However, do we want to go for the 7? Maybe not. There's also the world where we just say no to all of the above. Again, for Tezzeret, Karn, K command, Fleshraker. That might be better. I'm going to say no. We're going to draw fresh. Might regret not revealing the second Devourer. Might regret it. Alright, we'll pass. Windswept Teeth fetch. Ooh, this is feeling like Neoform. Or Neobrand, rather. Misty Rain, show me the Allosaurus Rider. No, draw. Temple. Temple's good. In that case, we'll play the Temple. I will pass. If it is Neobrand, we hope that they are missing a piece and that they just whiff. Thing is, if they're missing Rider, they of course have 4 Riders plus what, 4 packs? Misty Rain, Surveil Hedge Maze, Snow Covered. Icefang Quaddle? Is this Birthing Writ? It is. Okay, so that changes things. So, okay, this is interesting then. So it's Birthing Ritual. Simic Birthing Writ with Oculus, I'd imagine. What this allows us to now consider is that we have 6 hits off the top for our Devourers to be played, which I do like. We'll take the 1 down to 19. I imagine they play the Birthing Writ on second main. If nothing else. Yep, there's a Birthing Writ. They'll go digging. We do need Mindful game 2, game 3, they have access to Oof. I'm not sure if they play Oof main though. Oracle reveals Oracle. Draw. Tower. In that case, I'll play the Mine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I will pass. We're 1 short, but next turn we can start going with Devour. After that we can go Ugin. Imagine they play the Oracle. First attack, down to 18. Cast Oracle. Yep. Trigger Oracle. Find Sink. So it's a land. They'll probably bolt it. Tapped it. Okay. And Writ. Oculus would be a bit of a problem, but not the end of the world. Fibble-fipped. Okay. Yeah, we'll then take out the Birthing Writ. And they do play Flare of Denial. Oculus to Yard. Ooh. Temple or Tower? I mean, Tower is nice because if we draw into the power plant, we have more lines. We can always play the Temple next turn. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So play the Tower. And we'll exile the Birthing Writ. We'll pass in full. Do you have Flare of Denial? There's Subtlety pitching up for an Oculus. That's fine by me. I'll put that on top. Yeah, I think I have no reason not to. We'll pass. Casting Charlotte's Agent. It's Birthing Writ. They do have Harbinger main. That's concerning. That is genuinely concerning that we just saw Harbinger main. Down to 16. Death by 1,000 cuts, jeez. Writ. Yeah, Harbinger here might be a death sentence. Yeesh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Devourer. We'll play the Temple. We'll pass. So Ugins are saving grace here. Unless they play Consign main. We'll take 5 down to 11. Yeah, Harbinger main's brutal. Would not have expected that. 5. Okay. Down to 11. Cast Quaddle. Quaddle. I guess Quaddle, yeah. Quaddle? Quaddle? The word looks wrong now. Sink. You son of a... I mean, that was really smart heads-up play, admittedly. Birthing Writ. If they find an Ock, I'm probably SOL. Actually, screw probably, I think I'm saying. Subtlety. 3, 5, 6, 7, down to 4. Draw. Flash Rake. Mindstone. Flash Rake. So now we have a blocker at least. We'll pass. So they won't attack the Harbinger for obvious reasons. Paying cost. Charlotte's Agent. Charlotte's Agent finds Oracle. And Oracle finds Quaddle. Attack. 4 in the air, down to 7. So we need to get rid of Harbinger. Writ. Writ for what? Subtlety. That's 7 in the air, actually. Draw. Sire, 7 deaths. Oh, that gets interesting. I think we still have to go Ugin. And the reason being is they shouldn't be able to counter the cast trigger even with a flare. So I will Ugin. Triggers. And we will eat a subtlety, because if I don't eat the subtlety, we'll lose. Always yield. Always yield. Do you have the flare of denial? It doesn't seem like it, which is interesting to me. I will plus draw land and then pass. No attacks. Okay, interesting. Shardless Agent finds Birthing Root, plays the Birthing Root. Imagine everything goes at Ugin. Next turn will Devour. They can't send the Harbinger. Ugin, 4, that's fine. Alright, we'll take it. It's a 5, Birthing Root. Sacrifices... What the hell do you sacrifice? I'm not even sure anymore. Oh, another Harbinger. Okay. The fact we haven't seen Oculus yet is shocking. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. Oracle. Dismember. So you can dismember the Flesh Rake, which is a bit annoying, admittedly. Yes, that works. Okay, so let's do some math real quick. Because we can actually exile a lot, I think. So let's confirm. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We will exile, unlocking Temple Lab. So from there, we can Ugin again. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So let's start off Devour number 1. Triggers, exile 1, exile 2. Resolves, 0. Triggers, exile 1, exile 2. So no more flyers. And Bone skips it up. Alright, we got there. So this is Birthing Ritual. Win for game 1. So we definitely want Grafdigger's Cage, that much is clear. So Grafdigger's Cage in, Vexing Bubble in, Soul Guide in because we didn't see anything that was activated ability, so Pith Needle out. We want Dismember in because of Oof. We want Chalice out because we're on the draw. All's Dust is good. Sire's okay. Shire's okay. No cast triggers. Makes it a bit vulnerable. So is Karn and Tezzeret, though, admittedly. He also had Dismember main, which is insane to me. Interesting. So Sire out, Karn out, or Tez out. Those are kind of our 3 options to consider. The thing is, most of their board I don't think can deal with a Sire 7 deaths. So I don't think I want to cut Sire. So I think we end up cutting Karn. Yeah. I think Karn oftentimes is the weakest. When, at least in these situations, when counter magic's involved, Karn's usually the weakest link. 8 hits off the top, and we have a Devour. We'll keep it. Opponent mulligans down to 6. Reveal Devourer. And pass in full. Misty Rain. Trigger. There is Tower. I'll grab Tower. I will play mine, play map, and pass. Map resolves. Do you have Oof on 2? And Oof on 2 would, well, it would elicit the sound that the card is, which is Oof. I swear to God that that's why they named them Oofs. Just so that way it's like, oh, it's an Oof, Oof. Oracle, that's fine. Fine Sync, that's equally fine. Ooh, we like that. So that allows me to look at some different options here. So I, instead of going map, am going to instead cast Mindstone. See if Mindstone resolves. They are fully passed out. So in that case, Vaccine Bauble. This means no flare. This means no subtlety. And if we need, we can now map for Wasteland, so we can always K command out the whatchamacallit, Harbinger. We'll take one down to 19. We have the Devourer for the ritual. There's Oculus. Oculus is fine. Trigger. They could have Consigned Memory, which is a consideration. What are we thinking here? Opponent's paused. Why? Nature's Claim? Eh. They can't force a Vigor, so that's fine. Four in hand. And if they can consign the trigger, but not the body at least. And we have K command as follow-up for the following turn. What are we thinking here, opponent? Draw Ballista. Okay. Well, let's start with Devourer. And attempt to exile the Auk. I don't think I have anything else that we can play this turn. Paying cost for Consign. Again, they can consign the trigger, but not the body. So we'll get that out of the way. And then we'll just pass. We're not going to crack the bauble. No reason to do that. Paying cost for... Nope. Going to instead go attacking for 5 down to 14. Reasonable. Harbinger. Harbinger is fine. Yes. Less than ideal, but fine. Because we can Ballista. Ritual. Can't really do much with a manifest creature, and I don't think they're going to ritual anything here. Auk. Always yield, because we can't do anything about it. Draw. Temple. In that case, I will tap like this. X equals 2. That way we can ping down the Harbinger at will. We can hold. No reason for us to do much else. We have the tower available to us after we ping down the Harbinger. So we can block, ping, block. They should only be attacking with the Auk, I'd imagine. In that case, I will hold. No attacks. Four in hand. Paying cost for... Ooh, I guess that actually is a really fair point. I should have been wary of one of the manifest creatures being an oof. That was almost very bad. Yep, we'll take 6 down to 6. Or 6 down to 8, sorry. 6 down to 8. End step trigger. We need to play around, because is it anything less than? Where X is plus. So if you do, you may put a creature if made of value X or less. So yes, we do need to play around the oof. So in that case, end step trigger. Ballista, ping 1. Ping 2. And then I'm going to crack the map just to play it safe. We're going to grab a waste. I'm going to pass. So now even if they have a Harbinger, we'll have enough for the K command on the Auk. Ice Fang. Alright, and draw. Auk trigger. Again, not much I can do about that. Draw. Temple. I'm half tempted to crack the Mind Stone, to be honest. At least then we can find something. E-Temp. K command X equals 3. I'm gonna scry draw exile. Leave 1 back so we can crack the Mind Stone if needed. And done. Is Auk down? They would need a consign because Flare doesn't do it thanks to Bobble. Okay, it resolves. Clearing Flesh Rake, Soul Guide Lantern. Soul Guide Lantern might actually be worth it because then we can clear Graveyard to ensure they don't play another Auk. Yes. So, bottom map, top Flesh Rake, top Lantern, draw. Crack the Mind Stone. Draw. Cast Flesh Rake. Cast Soul Guide Lantern. Triggers. So now we have additional blockers. And we also now have non-combat damage coming down. Soul Guide will eat... I don't think it matters. I'm just going to... I guess actually what I can do here is I can eat my own Mind Stone. Well, actually, eat the Walking Ballista, eat the Mind Stone, eat the map. Well... Eat the Mind Stone. I guess we'll... Actually, no, I'm just going to eat the Consign. Let's eat the Consign. I'm then going to pass to Upkeep. On the off chance that's relevant. I'm going to crack the Soul Guide Lantern, exile a yard, so no more Oculus shenanigans unless they're underneath the manifest creatures. If they're underneath the manifest creatures, then we have other issues. Plays Perfect Springs, Bolts. That's concerning. Paying cost for... Oof. Ock. So that's 6, down to 2. Alright. Ritual. Sax Squaddle. Or Ice Fang. Harbinger. Brutal. Oculus Trigger. Flare TR. Draw. Mind Stone. So, let's see here. I will play E10. I guess I should have played Waste, maybe. I will play Mind Stone. Trigger. This allows me a redraw. I will crack the Mind Stone. Draw a card. Card. Is that enough, though? That's going to be 2 remaining after. What can 2 remaining after do? That's the question. I don't think much. 2 mana after, and then what? It's not like we can bridge. If we could bridge, that'd be a different story, but we can't. We're short 1. The Harbinger is absolutely ruining us right now. We need to deal with the Oculus. So I think I have to crack the Bauble and tap this down. I guess if we find Dismember, though. Yeah. Yeah. Draw card. One more. One more land. You could have exiled the Ock. Unfortunate. Playing the Karn serves no purpose. We will concede. Brutal. Alright. Welp. We will move on to game 3. And we will cut the gemstone and bring back in Karn. I guess we could also bring in Chalice, though. Chalice is a thought. Yeah. Because X equals 2 does a lot of work here. Actually, yeah. Chalice does work. Alright, on the play for game 3. A little bit slower than I'd like, but it is keepable. Trying to resolve Flesh Rake and the Tez. Ramp and then ramp. Yeah. Ideally, if we draw into a land between now and then, we can then go for map to try and dig deeper. Eventually get to Sire or Ugin. Main thing we have to worry about, of course, is Flare of Denials, Forces, and Dismembers. So, you know, a lot of cards. But the Flesh Raker early is good. But Mulligan's down to 6. Sire, and pass. And hold on the off chance it's relevant. Edge Maze tapped. Perfect. We don't have to worry about Consign. Ice Fang. And draw. Opponent's tinking again. What you tinking about? Karn. Not really what I want to see. I would rather see a land at this point. Flesh Rake and pass. And pass. I guess they could have subtlety there, theoretically. Yeah. Land. Holding. Draw. Land. Devourer. In that case, cast Tezzeret. Triggers. Resolves. And resolves. Tezzeret ETBs. So now we have to ask ourselves a question here. Tezzeret minus for what? Grafdigger's Cage seems like the best option. So we're going to go Grafdiggers. Sack Spawn. Trigger. It's mana neutral. Trigger Tezzeret. Always yield. And they can Ice Fang as Death Touch as long as you control at least 3 other snow permanents. So it won't have Death Touch if they flash it in. What else can be flashed in for 2? I don't think anything else in their deck, so we can go to combat and smack them for 2. So at least this turns off Birthing Ritual. So Teeth Fetch, we'll pass in full. Next turn we do have Karn. There's the Ice Fang. They draw a card, we'll pass. They can hit Tezzeret. Yep. End step, draw. Vexing Bauble. Vexing Bauble's mana neutral, so I will play Bauble. Trigger Flesh Rake. Trigger Tezzeret. We can then play Karn, or, hear me out, we could hold. Holding would allow us to have 3, 4, 5. There's potential for 6, 7. What's the other option? We play Karn, have 1 remaining, and we grab, I don't know, Pithing Needle? Pithing Needle named what? Beseiju? We haven't seen Beseiju, but it's not the one possibility that they play it, I suppose. Could go for something else. I will play Triggers. So now the question is, what do we do with Karn? We can minus, or we can plus. I will minus. At worst, they have another Ice Fang. Yes. I will grab. We could grab Walking Ballista next turn. That is a consideration. Yeah, we'll grab Walking Ballista for next turn. And I will go to attacks. Oh, actually, this reads, as long as you control at least 3 other snow permanents, which does include Ice Fang, land, so in that case we'll pass. Beseiju. I will shuffle. Unfortunately, we don't have a basic because waste doesn't count. I guess we could have gone Needle for Beseiju after all. Damn. Misty Rain, 12. Edge Maze, Surveil. So now they can go Birthing Writ. That is an option. Pass. Attack. Karn or Tezzeret? Attacks Karn. That's fine. 2 and 2. Cost. Harbinger. Harbinger is also okay, actually. Draw. Land. So I will cast Ballista. And this is really good fun. X equals 2. Done. Triggers. Triggers. Because now what I can do is I can plus Karn on nothing, we'll say. 0 Tezzeret on Ballista. I will ping Harbinger. Ping Harbinger. Unlocks the lands, but the biggest thing is we now get to attack for 2. Push you down to 8. The Fleshraker's a slow bleed right now. We can always ping down the Ice Fang if we need, though we don't really need to. Another Harbinger is fine. It's kind of going to be the same situation over again. Attack. Yep, that is a-okay. Karn down to 2. Draw. Fleshrake. So I will cast Fleshrake. I guess, actually, I will Ballista. Remove ping. Remove ping. Fleshrake. Triggers. Triggers. Go to combat. Is Ballista in sideboard still, or was that the one we pulled? I think that's the one we pulled. Can I deal enough damage here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we just minus Karn for, I don't know, Torpor Orb? Minus Karn. I guess not for Torpor Orb. We kind of want our Fleshraker triggers. So in that case, we'll go for Filigree Silex. Cast Silex. So the fun thing about Silex, we can tap and untap pretty easily, but that's the game regardless. Alright, we'll take the win for match 3. We'll be back for match number 4. Alright, we're back for match 4 on the play for game 1. That is a mulligan. That is a keep. Question is what we pitch. Tempted to pitch the Allah's Dust. Yeah, we'll do that. I will reveal, trigger, and there is the mine. I will play Power Plant, cast Map, and pass. And pass. Let's see what we're up against. Temple, so the mirror match. Draw. Potentially the mirror match, I suppose. Map, or mine rather. So we have Tron next turn. We can resolve Sire. Temple for Glaring Fleshraker. Yes, pause on end step. Crack the map for tower. And draw. In that case, I will cast Sire's Seven Deaths and pass. I suppose I could have grabbed Walking Ballista, Tezzeret, pinged down the Fleshraker. That is 6 Eldrazi mana. What you got? K command, X equals 4. So it'd be a -1. They'd have 5 mana available to them if so. K command 4. We'll take 5, but we gain 7. It's not all too concerned there. They could just try and chain off. That would be concerning, actually. I was not expecting triple temple. Can you win on turn 3? It's definitely not outside the realm possibility. Triggers. 1 top, 3 bottom, and passing. Alright, we're definitely going to ping down that Fleshrake. That is for sure. So we can go Tezzeret minus Ballista. Ballista 2. Yeah, I guess we just Ballista 2. Draw. Karn. Okay, well that changes things. So in that case, I will play KGC. Let's see, how do I want to do this? We can play KGC and then EE, clear the spawns. Yeah. I will... trying to think here, actually. Let's start with Sire's 7 Deaths, or do we KGC clear? Let's go to combat. No blocks. On the 13. So yeah, KGC, EE clear. Yeah, we'll do that. So let's start then with map crap, tower, play tower, cast Karn the Great Creator. Minus Karn. Yes. For engineered explosives. I guess we also could just go Torpor Orb. I think we go EE and clear the spawns. And we'll go EE. EE for 0. And clear the spawns. And pass. Alright. We'll pass. And pass. What do you got, opponent? Next turn we can Tezzeret, or we can just Battleship. Or Spaceship, Extinguisher, yeah, Extinguisher Battleship. And then Papa Etem, clear the board. That seems correct. Urza Mine. Okay, so it does look like a Eldrazi Tron. Is it my list again? Could be a Sire 7 Deaths. If it's the Sire 7 Deaths, that would prove an issue. But it looks like maybe another K command X5. So 6 down to 16. Yep. Could they storm off and kill me? Possibly. It's not outside the realm of possibility. Triggers. Down to 16. And they went... What do they do? Zero top, 5 bottom. Down to 15. 6 mana, 5 cards in hand. Is it another Karn? Karn. They should have access to Flute, maybe even Pithy Needle. Bridge. Bridge will not help you here. We can pop Bridge. Yep. Pop Bridge, clear board, kill Karn. Yeah, especially if they're playing my list, they should know. Minus Karn. Yes. I will go with Extinguisher Battleship. Nope, I don't need 10. I guess in that case, we can play Tezzeret first, can't we? Yeah, we can do that. So in that case, cast Tezzeret first. Battleship. Battleship will ETB, will pop the bridge, clear your creatures, trigger Tezzeret, trigger Battleship, pop the bridge, always yield. Always yield. Do you play Dismember main? Interesting. Would not have expected that, I'll be honest. Alright. So, Sire. You'll pay 7, though. Sire's down. I can't tap the bridge. Tezzeret trigger. So now I'm short. Well, that's a little bit annoying, admittedly. Next turn we can Karn plus Battleship. Can also Tezzeret minus. Don't have enough for Needle, though. No reason not to minus, though, I don't think. Yeah. And I will grab Ballista, question mark? Yeah, I'll grab Ballista. And then we will pass. So they can Karn plus on or Karn plus on map, kill Karn. They minused instead. What for? High minus here. I think killing Karn was right. Flute named Karn? Okay. I feel like that's better for when you're ahead, but you're significantly behind. Naming Tezzeret. Friend, you've made a grave mistake. Tower. Map. Sure. 2 in hand. Draw. Mine. Plus Battleship. Combat. Swing at you. Guess you could have a K command. Damage. And we got there. Alright, so this is Eldrazi Tron. And it's definitely feeling like my list. I wasn't expecting to see this much of it in a league, but I guess it makes sense. I talked about it in match 1. It does make sense. So, Vexing Bobble's relevant, Soul Guide is not, All is Dust is not. Bring you 2 in, cut Chalice, bring in a Dismember. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Pithy Needle, Bobble for Ugin, Alt, Dismember, Flash Rake, cut All is Dust, bring in Leveler and Extinguisher Battleship, and we'll run back. Alright. Righty. Let's see if we can close this out. Yeah, I mean, I like this hand. Little Flesh Rake is good. I will keep... It's a little bit slow, but unless they have removal, we should be good. We'll pass in full. And if we can ramp into Ugin, all the better. Let's see what we exile. Could be more of a traditional colorless E-Tron list with TKS. No, I'm feeling like it's my list. Though not cutting the All's Dust is a bit surprising. Map. They have Tron on 3. We need to be mindful of that. Comes down to what they have in hand now. Lab, Ugin, Tuck, Mindstone, and pass. So next turn we can Flesh Rake, Mindstone, Mine, draw, Ugin, perfect, cast Flesh Rake, cast Mindstone, triggers, always yield, and crack map. Yep, that resolves. Can't exactly do much about that. So I'll have Tron. So I have access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have Ugin next turn. I will pass. And hopefully they don't have Karn. But if they do, we have Flesh Raker to start beating it in the face, admittedly. We'll hold off, chance that's relevant. Play the power plan. Alright, what you got? Flesh Rake, fine. So blocker. Do you have Karn? Paying cost for map, fine. Mana neutral. Map, mana neutral. So we have 3 mana. Kind of a Tezzeret. Nope. Passing, draw. Ballista. I think I like Ballista here. Flesh Rake, trigger. Ballista. 2, 3. X equals 3. Triggers. So we will ping 1, ping 2, and go to combat. Swing with Flesh Rake, block, and then sack. Wait, why do that? Interesting. Okay. I will pass. Fascinating. Pass. And hold. You have 10 mana. 3 unknowns. TKS eats Ugin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One short of my Ugin. So it looks like more of a traditional E-Tron list. Okay. And passing, draw, Tezzeret, triggers, and I think we just win here. Yep, and opponent scoops it up. Alright, solid win against Eldrazi Tron. We'll be back for match number 5. Alright, we're back for match 5, on the draw for game 1. I'll keep, we'll pass. Olive Fountain, Shock to 18, and Tameo, Mox Opal. So it feels like Cutter, draw. E-Temp, the E-Temp is good. Map, pass, and pass. Tameo attack. Opponent gets a clue. 2 artifacts, no Metalcraft yet. Okay, they have Metalcraft. Emery. We do want to deal with Emery. Corridor Monitor. Oh, that's fascinating. Don't see that every day. Draw. Gemstone. In that case, how do you want to proceed? E-Temp. We could hold... Right now they don't have the mana for Metallic Rebuke, which is notable. So I'm thinking that I go Exile, Exile. It's not my preferred, but I think it's correct. And done. And pass in full. And pass in full. Four in hand. Next turn we can Flesh Rake, but then we don't really have much else, so I'd love to see Lab, I suppose. Flesh Rake, then we'd have 2 left over. We could crack Map at least. We also could Lab if we find 7-mana value spell, play Tez, and then Pithing Needle, name Emery. Also consideration. Tapping for what? Isochron Scepter? What? Orange Chant? Okay. Draw. Hey, look at that Vexing Bubble. Perfect. So in that case, let's use Glaring Fleshrake as bait. Cast Glaring Fleshrake. Cast Vexing Bauble. Triggers. And resolves, and we pass. And we pass. So until they get rid of Vexing Bauble, Scepter is offline. Might want to double down though with Tezzeret and grab Pithy Needle. Just make sure. How does Grafdigger's Cage read? Cage. Graveyards or libraries. It'd be Soulless Jailer for Isochron. Draw. That won't work the way you want to. Orange Chant. Oh, but what if they kick? Ooh. Ooh. That's mildly unfortunate. Bauble doesn't work the way I want to if they kick it. We need to draw into K command. Ooh. Yeah, that's a problem, ain't it? Crack me. I will grab another E-Temp, because like I said, I just want K command at this point. So they have to kick it every time, yeah. Which I'm sure they're more than happy to do. Isochron Scepter Lock. Yeah, because we could have Tezzeretted, but we wouldn't have been able to grab the needle at the time. Tower, play Temple, we'll pass. Yeah, if we can at any point resolve Tezzeret and go for Needle, we can slow things down. I was not expecting Isochron Scepter Lock. Paying cost. And then 1. They're able to leave 1 up. Yeah, the kicker gets around Bauble. Brutal. Draw. Power Plant. Pass. K command is our only hope. But they remove the Fleshraker, then we're still in trouble. Passing, draw, Scepter. And then kick. Yep. Draw. There's the K command. Okay. So we will hold. Steam Vent, Shock for cost. Spellskite. That's fine. Isochron Scepter. And now we're just going to try and go off. Trigger. And kick, K command. Alright, let's dig deep, shall we? Because now we're just basically trying to K command and K command and just chain them together for the win. we whiff. So no K command. So we bottom all. Draw. Triggers. We could very well bobble again, or rather crack the bobble in an attempt to find the K command. We have 2 hits. We put, what, 10 to the bottom? So out of 35, we have 2 hits. I mean, I'm tempted to do so. Crack. You would need force here, which we did open you up for. And we got there. Jeez. Alright. Ooh, was not expecting the Isochron Scepter. Was not expecting that in the slightest. Alright, let's run that back. So we definitely want Vexing Bauble. Soul Guide Lantern, yes. Pithy Needle, yes. Chalice, yes. Dust, I'm not sure about. Dismember, yes, though. I guess we could argue Cage. Actually, how's Cage read again? Can spells for graveyards, yes. We do want all of that. Chalice is on the draw, so maybe not Chalice. This one's tricky. I'd say maybe Sire's the worst card here. Yeah, so cut Sire, but then we need to cut one more. You want Cage, Needle, Soul Guide, Bauble? Is Bauble necessary? I mean, they have 0 mana value spells, so yeah. I guess for that reason, maybe Chalice is still good. Ooh. You don't want to cut Karn. Kinda don't want to cut Tezzeret. Do you want to cut Fleshraker? Oh. Oh. Interesting. Yeah, we definitely don't want to cut Karn. I mean, we could trim on Tezzeret or trim on Fleshraker. I mean, if you lock them out, then... Well, we're gonna like this. We'll trim on Fleshraker. But we really just need to lock them down. Still found Fleshraker. I'll keep. We're looking for another Soul Land. Okay. Opponent's Tinkin on 6. Oh, I swear there's a mosquito in this room. Bugging me. Passing full. Sacred Foundry, Shocker, tap. I can't imagine you have much for red. I guess maybe Discharge? I guess you could also Orange Chant. Karn. I really would want to play Karn, but I think we need to grab the lab. Grab the lab. I guess you could Orange Chant here, which is fine, actually. Doesn't really impact me too much. Would be worse if I had gone for the, whatchamacallit. Be worse if I went for the Mind Stone. We'll pass. Cost for Scepter. So they're just trying to Scepter lock right away. So I think we just play the K command. Not K command, the Fleshraker. I will tuck the All's Dust. Yeah, so we get Fleshraker on board, basically try and set up a similar situation as last time. Say, cool, you can lock me, but now you need to not die to Fleshraker. And we'll eat the Worm's Chant, and we'll hold. If you want to lock me, you can't do anything. That stops me from playing, but not from attacking. So that's fine. Yep, no kick. Draw. Temple. Combat. 2. And hold. Land tap, so we'll be able to attack again. Surveil. Worm's Chant to Yard. Passing. Isochron Scepter. Again, no kick. Worm's Chant. And draw. Power Plant. Combat. Swing. Alright, let's see it yet again. Imagine they kick it this time. In response, we'll K command. Yep. And kick. And ramp, scry draw. Looking very similar to last time. 7. So we can bottom, 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 bottom. So 7, they'll trigger another 6. And then, yeah, K command, so bottom, top, and draw. Triggers down to 6, and this will do it. Cannot believe we played through 2 Isochron Scepter locks with back-to-back K commands. And we got there. My opponent is probably fuming. Triggers. Alright. Did not think we were going to win that one, but I will take it. With that being said, that there will be the end of today's league at 4-1 at the end of 5, and it was a narrow 4-1 actually. We very nearly got the 5-0. Our main loss was to Control in match 2, and we lost because of my sequencing. More specifically, the lines I took. I went for the Disruptor Flute to be played on their turn, rather than opting to continue to play around the Snapcaster like I had by first playing the Soul Guide Lantern, where in retrospect, I should have then, minus Karn for Tormod's Crypt, played Tormod's Crypt, paid the 1, and then from there, I guess, paid the 1? Yes? Yeah, paid the 1, and then we could have needled and paid the 2 in addition, and that would have given me exactly what I needed to name Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and lock down our opponent. So, unfortunate that I did not account for Spell Snare, but as I said then, and I'll repeat now, every loss is a lesson learned, and we'll walk away being a better player for next match. But the list feels amazing. I know a lot of people were skeptical of Tezzeret and what it can do. I think the addition of mainboard hate pieces has made the deck better. I think you could argue with that logic, well, okay, why not play Urza Saga? It can still grab the hate pieces and also make constructs. It does it one time, but Tezzeret can do it multiple times. It can untap a creature post combat. It can untap a Mind Stone for additional mana. It can add a counter to Walking Ballista. There's a lot of utility that Tezzeret offers and a lot more flexibility that Saga doesn't, especially because you can tutor for something on turn 2 with Lab into land into Tezzeret, and even play it on turn 2 if you have a land as follow-up, or rather a Lab into Mind Stone into land, Tezzeret, and then Hate Piece. And I think that makes us much stronger into combo, which Tron has traditionally been weaker against, especially in game 1. So I think starting to bolster, our weaknesses in that matchup, or in those matchups, is definitely really beneficial. So I think that the deck is feeling really good. I think the sideboard looks great. Maybe there's some fine tuning here and there. Like I said, I moved EE from main to the side because it was pretty narrow in its focus, and I think that was a good addition. Having a Sylex on the side as well as a secondary EE, good, especially because Sylex has some really fun interactions with Tezzeret where you can play it, tap it, add an oil counter, untap it, crack it, blow up X equals 1s, or tap it again, put it to 2, blow up 2s next turn, or hell, somehow get it to 10 over across 5 turns, and then deal your opponent 10 damage, right? There's a lot of cool things that Tezzeret and these utility pieces can do, and I think that's what a lot of people maybe at face value are missing when it comes to Tezzeret. That, and also, I can't really honestly say I've missed TKS. I really haven't. I mean, our main creature is Fleshraker, which means opponents removing a lot of removal, lest they just kind of had dead cards all of the time into our Devourer, into our Sire, into our Ugin and Karn and Tezzeret, right? So they end up cutting removal, which makes them weaker into the Fleshraker lines, but, makes us stronger into, just jamming our big finishers in the way of Ugin. I think maybe the only card that I'm not kind of 100% on is Sire 7 Deaths. As funny as that sounds, I think it is arguably the weakest mana value spell in the entire deck, so that is something to consider. The only thing that I also would consider is maybe switching the Waste to a Swamp, just because that way we do have a basic that we can fetch off with Seiju, which has come up on a number of occasions. So, things to consider, things to think about. But again, the deck feels fantastic. I would take it into another challenge tomorrow. I will say, however, I'm a little bit worried about how the meta is going to react. I think the general populace probably won't adjust all too quickly, but I think those MTGO grinders who are going to be playing challenges are definitely going to adjust pretty quickly to the uptick in play rate. And so I'm not going to be surprised if we start seeing an uptick in non-basic land destruction in sideboards, and maybe in some rare cases main board as well. I won first and second, first on Saturday, second on Sunday, and then today my list actually claimed another first place spot. So 3 back-to-back days at first, second, first. Yeah, people are going to start taking notice, and they're going to make adjustments accordingly. So if we do see an uptick in non-basic land hate, it does mean that we'll likely end up shifting away from Tron, because to be honest, there's not a lot that Tron can do about land hate, especially in the ways of White Orchid Phantom in Obsidian Charmaw. There's not a lot we can do to play around it. We just kind of hope that they don't have it, and especially if we're on the draw, we're kind of just sitting there going, oh, well, we're down a land. We're banking on Tron next turn. Now we're dead. So it does raise some concerns in that regard, and for that reason, we might see a quick pivot away from E-Tron back to E-Ramp until we see either non-basic land hate die out, Or we might just kind of begin the cycle anew, where then E-Ramp sees an uptick in play rate, it starts seeing more performance, or sees an uptick in performance because people are playing it again, and then people move from non-basic land hate to general, non-conditional land destruction in the way of Molten Rains. And then we just go, okay, well, now we move away from E-Ramp again, and then we shift to Brood Scale. And then over time, people forget about E-Tron and E-Ramp. Then we see non-conditional and non-land land destruction move out of sideboards and out of main, and then we play E-Tron again and rinse, repeat. So it is going to be interesting to see how the meta reacts to these recent wins for E-Tron. People have already asked me, like, what do we do if that happens? I don't think there's much. I think we'll just see a steep decline in performance for E-Tron, and we just kind of have to go with the ebb and flow of the meta. But we'll have to wait and see how the meta reacts and how quickly it reacts. Like I said, the majority, I think, in leagues probably won't react all too quickly. It's going to be those playing in challenges that are going to be a bit more prepared because they see the deck as a potential threat. But with that being said, I'll end my idle prattling and we'll wrap up here. As always, if you did enjoy today's video, please do consider hitting the like button, comment down below if you did see any lines that I missed, any mistakes that I made, or any general feedback. It'd be much appreciated. For as much that I hope you all learn from me in both my success and failures, I hope I can learn from you all as well. Last but not least, if you have reached this point in the video and haven't already, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. We're getting closer and closer to hitting 1,000 subscribers. In fact, we are now at 37 away. We're less than 50 away from 1,000. And at which point we'll be able to start monetizing these videos, and it'll also give me opportunities to start applying for sponsorships. I want to make it clear now, if I take any sponsorships, it's going to be relevant to Magic the Gathering, and it's going to be well vetted. I'm not a big fan of like Raid, Shadow Legends, I want, if I'm going to sponsor something that I want to engage with, that's something that I would want to play, something that I would want to utilize, whether it be a service or otherwise, like Card Kingdom, fantastic example. 1000% would buy from Card Kingdom. So it would also open up those opportunities for me, which would then allow me to start saving up for a stream PC, so I can stream live over on Twitch as well, and just also make more and more time for Magic Gathering content, whether that be making more YouTube videos, whether that be updating my sideboard guides more regularly, whether that be updating primers and writing more primers, stuff like that. So if you haven't already, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. It'd be much appreciated. In the meantime, though, if you want to support me monetarily, you can do so over my Patreon, where you get early access to my new videos. With that being said, though, folks, I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye!